and I don't know if it's going to work. I've never done this before, but I feel like we got a decent enough rapport. All right. So I'm going to ask, you're going to lead it. So I'm going to like feed you what you're going to say, and we're just going to roll with it. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So the first part, you're going to say this part, and you're going to know, hopefully you catch on, but you're going to say knock, knock. All right. Ready, go.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Jordan Mather.
Jordan Mather, who?
Literally, who is this chick?
Who is this? Who is Jordan Mather? You see what I did there? Yo, this is the Streetwise Podcast. We're here to help you level up your game, level up your leadership, and level up your life. I'm your host, Matthew McReynolds. I'm a multi-brand franchisee, and I'm a franchise consultant, which means I help people find, launch, and build their ideal franchise business. Our main goal is to help you get off of zero and become the person that your dreams need you to be. Buckle up, get your popcorn ready. Let's go. Streetwise Nation, we're talking to Jordan Mather. Who are you? What do you do? What's your day-to-day?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Jordan Mather. Work for Neighborly, which I know you're familiar with.
There we go.
Price development for one of Neighborly's brands, Housemaster, Home Inspections. We don't hide what we do. It's in the name. So, but yeah, that's what I do for Neighborly. I'm a mom, and to a 5-year-old. His name's Judah. Love of my life. My other love of my life is my husband, Cody. We've been married for 10 years. It's 11 years as of this year.
Let's go.
I keep thinking it's 2023 still. Yeah, so 11 years this year. So I'm pretty simple. Prior to being a Neighborly, I worked still in sales. Similar to a lot of the people that you speak to, entrepreneurship was something that I grew up around, came from 2 entrepreneurial parents, and then just something I always wanted to do for myself as well. So I kind of started my own business and doing sales with Disney. So I did Disney travel. I helped hundreds of families travel all over the world to the most magical place on earth and beyond. So it wasn't just Disney World or Disneyland. I did Adventures by Disney. So people went to Egypt and South Africa, Europe. It was a lot of fun. So that's kind of my background. I love people. I love one-on-one conversations like this. Yeah, that's Jordan Mather.
Man, beautiful. Great job. Yeah. You did well. We'll give you a round of applause. Audience appreciates that. So, Man, shout out to all the working moms out there. How do you do it? What makes it, just being a mom is just I got so much respect. We got Mother's Day coming up. This will probably air after Mother's Day, but just want to give you your roses. I know a lot of other people will as well, but man, where do you got to dig deep? Like, what is it about being a working mom that you're proud of?
Judah is just the joy of my life. And I feel incredibly blessed to be his mom. And so for me, because he's part of my why, he's also the fuel that gets me through everything that I do throughout the day. And so while yes, it can be kind of hard. I mean, literally this door could open at any point and him walk in. I kind of set some rules like, hey, mommy's in a video meeting. Like maybe don't open the door. I'll open it as soon as I'm done. It comes with some challenges.
If he comes in, I will not edit it out. He's making the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he would love that. So he would think that was awesome. But no, he's just amazing. 5 years old. He makes it easy on me. I don't sit at the table of like, oh, it's just so hard. I feel blessed that I'm able to work from home. And I feel blessed that to be his mom and that he kind of fuels what I get to do every single day. And yeah, that I still get to be he's in the other room, like literally that I can go and pop in and check on him and all the things. So
that's awesome. Have you had to make any significant sacrifices to be able to do both? So I know that some working moms feel like they have to sacrifice the time, and then some stay-at-home moms feel like they have to sacrifice their career, but it sounds like you found a balance between the two. Like how are you in that?
I think before, kind of what I do now, but also his age was different. So it's kind of hard to even
Yeah.
consider because before I did Disney full time, I also worked full time at another office, but I was out of the house. And so that was painful because I really did want to be with Judah as much as I possibly could. Um,
Wow.
that hurt. So the sacrifice there was like, yeah, I'm working, but I don't have as much time with my kid, and that's painful, which is kind of what led me to entrepreneurship. And a lot of what I hear when I'm speaking to people, right? Like corporate America is not providing me X, Y, or Z. I really want this or this. And for me, it was more time with my family. The business I chose did not provide those things after I got into it, which is kind
Sure.
of what led me to Neighborly. And I'm very grateful that I get to work from home and still do all the things I'm passionate about and build relationships with people and see lives change through legacy pieces in their careers. But yeah, I feel like I'm in this sweet spot. And Judah starts kindergarten in August, and I don't know how I feel about that, but it'll be different too because now he'll be, at school.
Oh, that is so special. So I also have a Judah. He is 3, and he's my middle.
Yes.
Roman is my kindergartner. He's
Okay.
we just so he just did his last night, did his kindergarten big play, the kindergarten show, and it was the cutest thing I have ever seen, been a part of in my entire life. They're just so proud of what they did. They did a great job. My man was a little high flyer, so he was out there tumbling on the ground, and they practiced for months.
Oh, I love
Yeah, it was
that.
really cool.
Can't wait. Yeah, that's a sweet, sweet
Yeah.
stuff.
No, it's a lot of fun. So I resonate with what you're talking about. But you said something that was interesting. So, you talked a lot of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners, and but you said the business that you chose didn't really provide the lifestyle that you needed to check all the boxes for the vision that you had for yourself. Therefore, I take that as not all businesses are created equal. Can you maybe elaborate on that? Because I think some people think about business ownership and they think like, all right, I get into business and now I'm going to have everything that I want. Maybe
Yeah.
educate the audience a little bit on why that might not be true.
Yeah. So, and I will say too, it's also a learning curve. I feel like now being on the other side where I am, I'm like looking back, it's like, could I have done things differently to provide that piece of like mind? And I'll explain in just a second. And the answer to that is probably yes. I'm a people pleaser by nature, and it just jumped headfirst into it and kind of saw success pretty quickly and was just running a really fast race. It was not a franchise where right systems, processes, resources, the support are all kind of in there. Are you still running hard and still grinding? 100%. I would never take that away from any of our franchise owners. But like what I did was like, I'm starting on my own and I'm going to create the systems, process, resources, all while handling the client base. And it was just nonstop. I was working 24/7, which I do think that some entrepreneurs would argue that like, hey, save, like we're always working, we're always building relationships, we're always networking, we're always, talking. But I think I could have put in some boundaries. Planning vacations just never stops. Someone's always traveling, someone's always wanting to travel, things change. It's just constantly moving. And Disney, especially if there's any Disney fans listening to this, and like a trip to Disney World is just not the same as it was like 10 years ago. And it takes a lot of planning, and there's a lot of details and a lot of stuff that happened even the day of that you couldn't pre-schedule. And so it was just constant movement. I had a moment where we went on vacation as family to Disney, and I had like 14 families checking in the same day that we were checking in. And
Oh
it's just,
my.
yeah, it was just like this moment of like, I don't ever get to just kind of be. My phone's always like going off. I'm constantly always doing something, helping someone. And I didn't see a spot where it was going to be like, I'm able to kind of step But that was because wasn't thinking ahead, like, okay, we'll hire someone and train someone else to do the things that
Mm.
do. I was like so single-minded of like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one that can do any of this, right? I'm also like,
Yeah.
I wanted to take care of my people, but I also was like thinking small. Honestly, I wasn't seeing the bigger picture of like, okay, well, you could train someone else to do quote requests. You don't have to be the one that's always doing quote requests. You could train someone to respond to emails. You don't always have to be the one. Making those investments probably would have impacted my business in huge ways. And I probably wouldn't have had to get to a spot of like this incredible burnout. And so, yeah, I would do things differently, but I would also say, yeah, not all businesses are equal. And I think for me, when I'm speaking to the people I'm getting to talk to, what's cool is that they are coming in, they're buying into something that has already seen success. And a lot of the things that I was having to turn the wheel or even like start to put it together because it wasn't already there, that's not something that a lot of people who are looking into the opportunity, I'll at least speak for Housemaster, you don't have to recreate the wheel. It's already rolling. You just want to get in the
Yeah.
car and put in your work as well and keep the car rolling, which is just great. And so I think that was a huge difference for me.
What's going on, everybody? I hope you're liking the conversation this far. Please take a moment, give it a 5-star review. It really helps spread this out to as many people as possible. All right, let's get back to the episode. That's awesome. And I resonate with that too. And, my business ownership experience, the majority of it has been in franchising, but it wasn't until I was able to delegate tasks and hire people and train and get out of the truck and get off of answering the phones and actually build the team that I've been able to kind of level up and do other things. And I think, people get into franchising or business ownership in general thinking that, okay, as soon as I start, I'll make a whole bunch of money. Or on the other side, oh, it's so much risk and I'm unwilling to do it.
Yeah.
And I think about my personal experience over the last 10 years, and I make more money now than I did when I started. But the money that I take in from this is year 9 to year 6, so year 6 to year 9, the money has not increased that much. But
Sure.
the time that I invest in the business is exponentially less than it was when I was working initially 50, 60 hours a week to build the business, getting paid X amount of dollars. And now I get paid X amount of dollars plus 5. But I'm only working a fraction of the hours because I have a team. And now I've been able to just see the business grow so far beyond me. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And
It really
so,
is. And I feel like
yeah,
that's
I
the
feel
scary
that.
part too, right? You're like, oh, I'm entrusted. This is like your baby, essentially. You're like, I'm entrusted
Yeah.
this part of my business to somebody else. And that feels scary. But I think it's so great to hear. I've never talked to one person on this topic where they're like, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have delegated. Everybody says
Mm.
you see growth when you make that move. Is it a hard one? Sure. Is it the right one? Yeah, it is. And so I think that's huge.
What do you think people are so afraid of when it comes to delegating?
Well, a couple would be that one, no, they're not going to do it as good as me, right? I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
Like I do this the best. And so like I can't trust someone to do this the best. That's part of it. Another part of it is financials. They're like, do I want to give up that money, each month to someone else when I could be doing it? But again, that's thinking small. That's not thinking big. And so I think when you're someone who's wanting to see growth and to scale, those have got to be conversations that you're having, mentorship that's being poured into you, to encourage and see that through, because otherwise you're going to hit a wall. You're only one person. You can only do literally so much before you implode.
Preach, preach. You talk about mentorship a little bit. Who are some of the people that fed
Oh,
into you? What was your upbringing like coming up to where you are now?
oh, that's such a great question. This is like such a sweet thing for me. I have always been surrounded by strong women in my life that
Let's
have been
go.
able to pour into me. And so, in kind of my story, some women that come to mind though, like immediately in certain seasons of my life where I really needed someone to encourage. And one of them is Crystal Basham. She is an entrepreneur herself. She started a clothing line and it's based in Tennessee. It's called August Cloth. But when my family, we moved to Tennessee, we lived in Tennessee for a time being. And it was a season of kind of being lonely and like we didn't know anybody over there. And my husband had started this new job and I was introduced to her. Also, my son's adopted. And so she had previously adopted one of her children. At the time, she's now has 2 adopted children, but at the time one of her children was adopted as well. And so it was just this season of like, what am I doing? Where am I at? Where is these friendships? So she was just really someone to kind of take me under her wing and mentor me. And it's just the most valuable thing ever to have someone like that that's willing to do life with you like that. And then also, every time we move, I feel like, but also my husband's mom is, I know there's like stigma, like the mother-in-law is just normally not your favorite person, but for me, she's just someone that has just been really impactful in my life. She was a very hard worker, and didn't have a college degree, any of this type of deal, to kind of worked her way up in corporate America. Like her job today, I'm pretty sure would only be given to a lawyer type of situation. Just so much wisdom that comes from her. I actually have a picture of her. You cannot see it, but it's like taped on the side of my bookshelf, and it's her at the office where she started. It's always like my reminder, like when I come in here, like, to grind, basically. Like she works so hard. And so her picture of her at her desk with all these books stacked, and she just looks adorable. It literally is a reminder to me to work hard, and give everything I have, in the seat that I get to sit in. So
Beautiful. And again, shout out to all the mothers and all the mother-in-laws out there. I might have to drop this. I might have to drop this right before Mother's Day, just because. Just
yeah,
because. That's really cool. Okay, so
yeah,
how did you get to Neighborly? Tell me about
yeah.
that. You're doing
Okay.
travel, you started your own thing with the Disney travel, you're hustling, and then you get to Neighborly. Tell me about the transition there.
Yes. So my best friend, hilariously enough, uh, Paige Upshaw, another shout out on here, works
Shout
for
out.
Neighborly as for almost 10 years. She is one of the assistants for multiple brands. And so hilariously, she's actually at Housemaster, but she does Rainbow and a couple of other brands as well. But this job came up. She kind of messaged me about it, like, "Hey, you should look into this. I think you would enjoy it." And at the time, I was just like, "No, I'm good over here." But she knows me. She's literally a sister. We met when we were in high school. She's probably one of the most consistent people in my life, and so she knows me. She knew I was tired and was running really hard, and she knows a lot about me and the gifts that I have and the things that I could bring to the table. And so yeah, she's like, just apply, just see. And so that's what I did. And went through the whole process, had to go through all of the different interviews with all of the different people, and eventually was hired on. And it was a good thing. It was a big blessing. Yeah. And I was still
So
doing
how
Disney at the time, and they knew that. But it didn't take me that long to be like, no, I don't want to divide my efforts, my time. That's never going to turn out well. And honestly, to be super transparent, I really felt like the Lord was telling me that I needed to lay Disney down
there it
anyways
is.
prior to that. And pride was making me be like, no, you're not going to ask me to lay down something I worked so hard to build. And so, but that kept stirring in me. And so it was just a huge blessing. It was just another sweet way of him, you know, this wasn't what I was asking for, yet it was better than I could have ever, what my plans would have been. This was better. And it was just such a sweet thing that this was a job that was offered and that I was able to accept in the laying down of that. And so it was just like, hey, obedience, thank you. Here's this other job I know that you'll love. And so, and it's been great. So
Isn't that how God works?
yeah, he's
Man,
so
man, that's really
yeah,
cool. And
yeah,
I will say that God's plan is better than ours,
yeah,
and sometimes it's hard to lay down what it is that we want, because you talked about pride, but I was going to ask about your own personal identity, and in
no,
transitioning from the role that you had as an entrepreneur, and now you're on a team, and now you're an employee, you're working for a corporation again. And how did you kind of work through that identity shift in laying down what you felt of yourself? Was there any internal work that you had to do in order to kind of make that transition work?
yeah. So that was definitely a hard part of it, was just like the identity was like perfect word, because like that was kind of my thing on Instagram, like, oh, I'm your Disney gal, Disney gal. It was just like when someone thought about Disney, I'm assuming they imagined me. And so saying no to that and laying it down was just kind of like, I think a part of me just died. Like really, it felt like I had to mourn a death a little bit.
Wow.
And so but I feel like the transition was really easy and great and exciting. Like once I got over like the part of saying like, okay, I'm for sure doing this, I'm for sure laying this down, everything else has been like a sweet transition. I still get to use similar gifts. I'm still building relationships with people. I This is so much more than a vacation too. This is like life change. It feels more inspiring to get to be a part of this, to hear the stories at reunion
Yeah, no
and to
doubt.
speak with people. This is just, it's bigger picture again. And so I feel like the transition was honestly not hard. I love being on a team. Honestly, I was just like, this is great. I love getting to work with people. Um, so what's great is that everybody brings something different to the table, like as far as their giftings are concerned, and that's what makes people thrive. It's like consider like a marriage in some way or form or fashion. Like we're two completely different people that bring all different awesome things, and when those things come together, it just like works really well. And so when you have a team that also wants that, um, it just is great to be a part of it. I have literally no complaints about the transition other than the initial like, I'm doing this, I'm laying this down.
Yeah. No, I relate to that too, because as an entrepreneur and somebody that's building up these businesses, the culture of my businesses was me. And if I didn't put into it, it didn't happen. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I got around people that were better at stuff than I was that now I finally feel challenged again in the space, because I have high caliber individuals around me. And so I feel that, and I know that's a special thing. Yo, 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 thanks for listening this far. It's at this point in the episode that I want to talk about Streetwise franchising, teaching, training, building. Streetwise franchising. As a franchise consultant, it's my job, it's my absolute pleasure, and it's my mission to help aspiring entrepreneurs find, launch, and build their ideal business. I've been a franchise owner for almost a decade. I know what it means to struggle. I know what it means to build a team. If you're ready to get off of zero, if you're ready to build something for yourself, visit streetwisefranchising.com. Let's get the conversation started. Don't wait until tomorrow to build your future. It starts today. Streetwise franchising. Stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Let's get back to the episode. So I would be remiss if we go too long and we don't talk about Neighborly and Housemasters. Maybe what the heck does Neighborly got going on right now? What is Neighborly for the listener that might not understand the whole franchising world yet? This podcast is created to help people get off of zero in whatever avenue. I just happen to be educating people about franchising, while also bringing in amazing guests with great stories and helping me be a conduit of information. So let's talk Neighborly, and then we'll pivot to Housemasters. And what is actually going on here?
Yeah, I love that. So Neighborly, number one home service franchise company in the U.S.
There
They
it
own
is.
over 19 different brands. Housemaster is one of them. The acquisition we're actually one of their newer brands. Acquisition with Neighborly took place in 2020 for Housemaster.
Oh, okay.
So again, one of their newer brands, not new to the industry though. Housemaster's been around for like 40 plus years. Um,
Wow.
we helped basically pioneer the industry for home inspections. Um, what's great about our brand is that inspections are always needed. They're a standard part of buying and selling a home that allows us to say that we're considered a recession resistant industry, which is not something that everybody can say. You know, it's a simple business. It's not to say that you wouldn't have a hard day, but it is a simple business. Yeah, over 85% of the population gets a home inspection in the US. And new data is actually showing that over 70% of people are getting them even prior to putting their homes on the market, which is, again, another huge perk for our owners. And so it's a really exciting brand. I think the one thing I always get asked about is like, okay, well, who are you looking for? Like for Housemaster, like who's like the perfect person? And I would say someone who likes people. And I know that
Okay.
sounds ridiculous, but also I think anyone listening has probably been around someone in their life that didn't like people well. And so, but if you like people, then you will do amazing because while yes, we do home inspections, our bread and butter is customer service. I joke with people that we're the Chick-fil-A of home inspections. And so
All right.
number one customer satisfaction in our industry, and out of all Neighborly brands, we have the highest net promoter score. And so, not to dog, but like I guess that makes it 100%. No, so yeah, that's a little bit about Housemaster.
Hey, smoke them if you got them. Hey, I'm not gonna hate on you. That's amazing.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a little bit about who we are, and Neighborly also been around for 40 plus years. So if you're looking for someone, maybe it's not Housemaster, but just a Neighborly brand in general, I mean, I would argue that you're not going to find anybody else better in the industry, especially in home services. They're just amazing. The backing that you get, systems, processes, resources, they're just kind of unmatched. And so it's awesome.
Hey, you heard it here first. Love
Here.
it. Great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I like to educate people on, because there's so many different franchise opportunities out there, and there's businesses that are basically created around verticals. Like, all right, we're going to give you a call center, we're going to give you a marketing team, and then we're going to go find an industry, create a brand, and then throw you into it. But I love the 40 years of experience. I mean, you cannot sleep on that, and you cannot replace it. And as a franchisee, to know that you have the support of the corporate team that has the experience in place, that has done everything that you're trying to do already, has all the answers. I mean, that's huge. And it's honestly, it's priceless in my opinion.
It's true.
And I like that analogy too when it comes to being a franchisee who actually works in a business before they hire out the team. Just from my own personal experience in Mosquito Joe, another Neighborly brand, that there is not one thing that any of my technicians can do with a good heart and a good spirit in good customer service that I have not done myself. I have wrecked a vehicle. I have treated the wrong house on accident. I have skipped a house on accident when I shouldn't have. I have let a dog loose, like all the mistakes that could be made, and chased them down the street. Like I've done all the things. And so to have the backing of somebody that's lived it is again priceless.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
so true.
So we're talking to folks here that, don't know much about franchising. They don't know much about the process. And so for you, you're going to be one of the first people that they talk to when they are interested in a brand. So what does somebody need to know before they start, or what can they expect as they're getting introduced to you?
Oh, that's such a great question. And I feel like as far as like knowing what to know before you start, I want to say like maybe feel like you can come into this knowing nothing, and that's okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Majority of people are sitting there with you in the boat of like, hey, I know nothing. I'm trying to figure this out. I hear this all the time. I never even thought of this as an opportunity. I thought franchising was only food or like a clothing brand. I had no idea that there were home service franchises or whatever. I mean, we
Yeah.
hear all the things.
Yeah.
And I would say you don't have to know anything when you come in contact with me. My goal would be that we get to do this together, right? My hope is that I'll answer any questions that you have, be a resource. If there was something that you asked me that I don't know, I'm going to go and find out the answer for you from the best person that can answer it. Every step of the way, I want to make sure that no rock goes unturned. This is such a big decision in someone's life. And I know that it's a very weighty decision. I care deeply for like every single one of my candidates. I feel like I'm friends with so many of the people that have chosen to move forward and then be awarded a franchise with me. And so I just, I would say like, listen, just if you don't know anything, that's great. Come on in and let's figure it out together. And I'll tell you everything I know and put you in contact with the people that can better help you on the things that I don't.
So let's talk mindset in that case of the franchise candidate. Where is it? What is a good mindset coming in, and scratch that. What mindset does somebody have walking in and they're having their first few phone calls with you and you immediately know this person is not going to do well in this space? What is a bad mindset to have that if this is you, keep walking?
Yeah. I can almost tell immediately if someone's just like,
I'm sure.
I'm like, did someone force you on this call with me? Like no interest. I'll ask, one of my questions I always ask is like, hey, I know you're working with so-and-so. What are some of the opportunities? Because I love hearing all of the different things. And a lot of, when I hear, I wasn't even wasn't caring much about, and then they gave me 3 and now I'm just kind of going through the calls. I'm like, this there's no drive. Like, I'm like, you don't want this. I don't even know what your why is. We're going to try to figure that out. But I can tell you right now, it has nothing to do with entrepreneurship. And then I get these candidates where they don't know anything, but they've watched all the videos I've sent them, and they've even gone on their own and done research. It's like they're thirsty. They want something. They know this is like it's serious for them. And so, you can always tell when someone's like, just not in it.
Facts.
Yeah.
All right, let's break down the process. What do you take people through when you got a candidate, they're interested, you can tell that they're hungry, you can tell that they're driven? What's the process that they go through before? I love the term that you used, awarded. You're not out here just selling these franchises to people. You're awarding them to folks. Maybe explain the process, but also explain to me the difference between, we're not selling these franchises, we're awarding them to the right people.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the greatest part of getting to work. Like with me, is like, I couldn't sell you this franchise if I wanted to. That's part of the process. I'm literally here as a resource, consider a friend almost even, to kind of walk with you during this. Mutual evaluation process. I always tell people, just as much as you're considering Housemaster, we're considering you as well. Right? This is part of that. And you're looking into all things Housemaster, and then we're looking into all things you. We could teach you home inspections. What soft skills are you going to bring to the table? How are you going to be different than the other owners? How are you going to service the community that you're going to be in? Those are the things I'm trying to pay attention to when I'm having these conversations. So easy first call, get to know each other. Second call, we call it the design, right? I'm going to tell you more about Housemaster. We're going to go through all the details, walk through things like kind of your aspirations and those type of things, even financials, make sure that we're on the same page. How can I better serve you in those ways? Then we move you into validation. I want you to speak to as many owners as you want to ask the questions that directly from the people who can answer it, right? That's a similar seat that you're going to be sitting in. It's best to hear from those people. And so, do that, walk through the FTD together. Then we're going to move you into VP approval. Make sure you get approved. If you get approved, you get invited to what we call is Meet the Team Day, and it's exactly how it sounds. You're going to get to meet the team, our president, our VP, the marketing team that we talk about, the technical team that helps with the training, literally anyone that's going to help you drive the car. You're going to get to meet, which I think is really sweet. So at that point, what I do is I meet with my candidates, and we have a good conversation. I always say, "Are you a 10?" That's my thing. I bring that up multiple times. We're gonna get you in the process where I'm gonna ask you, "Are you a 10?" I'm not gonna present you to the committee if you're not a 10. And so we get you in the process. They tell me they're a 10. Great. Present you to the committee. Once the committee reviews, if they want to award you the franchise, then you get the magical call, right? Where they call and award you the franchise and we celebrate and all the things. And so, but yeah, you got to be a 10. So that's
Love
kind of
it.
it. Yeah.
Love it. All right, I'm going to say this, and I don't want you to get mad at me, but there's a question behind it.
Okay.
Now, I'm talking to you, and I knew you a little bit before, but you don't come across as like a very hands-on carpentry type of a person. Am I wrong? You can tell me right now. Am I wrong?
No, that is not my gift. Not even.
Okay. I apologize. I didn't want to. But what have you learned about the home inspection process now that you've been with Housemasters? Anything pertinent or special that you've learned as you've been doing this and interacting with these folks?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, Matthew. Like the majority of it goes right over my head. I'm like, that's not my part. Listen, if Jordan was investing and hopefully awarded a housemaster, she'd be hiring a full-time inspector because my role would be let me go meet with all the people and do all of that. Use my gifts where they're best suited, the technical parts of it. Well, I feel like I pay attention to detail. That is next level. So, I mean, I think what's great though too is that our inspectors are so gifted and that is just such a serious job. I mean, if you think about it, your house is one of the biggest investments you're ever going to make in your life. You really want to make sure the person that you have coming to do the inspection is going to do a really thorough job. And so I think knowing that hiring someone with Housemaster, that's exactly what you're going to get. And so, but yeah, I'd definitely have to hire someone. I'd want to be more in, let's do the lunch and learns and building the relationships and all of that part of it.
So I don't know if you knew what I did there, but maybe it was intentional. Maybe I just got lucky. But it sounds like maybe the franchisee themselves don't have to actually inspect the homes. So you're saying if somebody were to buy a Housemaster, they're not the ones inspecting the homes themselves. They might not have to master the industry.
Right.
Is that true, or is there some nuance there? Maybe enlighten me a little bit. Coach me up.
Yeah, so obviously, I will tell you this, the majority of them do choose to do the inspections, right? Especially right similar to you, right? You want to have that lower overhead out the front gate. We don't require brick or mortar, any of those things. And I also think to your point, you're not asking anyone on your team to do anything that you haven't already done. So I think there is this sweet spot of hey, grind, do it, do the work, right? But scaling it, adding a team, of course. And if we do come in contact with candidates and that is the way they want to do it, they're coming in it, they're thinking they're more going to have hiring inspectors kind of be more managed relationship. Yes, 100%. If someone has the liquid available to do so, and that's the business plan that's presented, and our committee reviews that, and they feel that candidate will be able to see that through, then they're likely to approve that for sure.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it took me years to get out of the truck. I haven't sprayed any houses so far this year, but I mean, our first season we did 996 treatments for Mosquito Joe, and I did every single one of them except for the week that I was on my honeymoon with my wife.
Wow.
My dad went out there and knocked out a few himself and held it down. But now, I mean, we do 900 treatments a month at least, and I haven't touched any of them. And so, Okay, so it helps to come in. What about certification? I know that when I was looking at Housemaster back in the day, and home inspecting in general, I was looking at the process. And is each state a little bit different in getting that licensing?
Yeah.
Um, is it harder for some people than others? And maybe does Neighborly offer support through that process?
Yeah. So the majority of the states, our schooling, we call it NIBI for short, but the schooling that we started again years ago is approved in the majority of the states. I'll use our state as an example, state of Texas. They require in-state schooling. So like our Texas owners would have to do a different school because NIBI's not approved. And so use the word harder. I'm gonna like switch that around a little bit. I would say that it doesn't take I don't it may take a little bit longer, but not much. And what I think is encouraging for Texas owners as an example is that those additional hoops the state requires are a good thing because the market isn't saturated with just anybody who wants to be an inspector. You actually have to put in some blood, sweat, and tears in order to get your
Yeah.
license in the state. And so and I could guarantee you speak to any real estate agent and they're going to be like, yeah, we could use some more inspectors because we have someone that's, it takes like 3 weeks for someone to get out there. And so that's an encouraging. Yes. Is there an additional hoop, if you will, that jump through? Yes. And then again, the majority of the other states there are a couple others that are similar to Texas, but the majority of the states are schooling's approved. So what's great is that during your onboarding, you'll do the business training, all the other things, and then you do the technical training. The majority of it is done virtually. And then you would spend a week in New Jersey, which is where our training facilities are. And you get to do more hands-on, like learning the skills for the inspections. They'll actually do inspections on homes together. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that looks.
No, I think there's nothing wrong with that extra hoop. It depends on what the person wants when they're coming in. Mosquito control, for example, in Texas, you have to have a pest control license. So there is a barrier to entry versus paint. There's no barrier to entry. Anybody can go out. And so from pricing it out from a franchise, yes, I have a ton of systems in place, but I'm competing with people that can go to Sherwin-Williams or Home Depot and pick up a paintbrush and put up a Facebook ad and claim to be a painter. And so that extra hoop actually could be protecting that franchise owner from having to deal with the riffraff that are out there just claiming to do a good job, right?
Sure.
And so I think that's it's not something to be afraid of or shy away from. That might actually help protect you, even though you got to jump through it yourself. And that's the point of being with the franchise, is they're going to offer that support to help you facilitate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So new franchisees coming in, you got franchisees that have been around for a while. What do the new guys and gals, what do they struggle with initially out the gate? What are some of the things that, now that the brand's been around for a while, that they have to work through in order to build up some momentum so they can get out there and really build that business?
Good question. I'm going to say themselves
Ooh.
in the sense of like this confidence. It's like at first you're kind of like, wait, am I the professional here? Do I believe that I'm the best inspector in this town type of a situation? Having the confidence to go in, build the relationships, not be afraid to walk up into an office and so introduce yourself, hand out your card, bring Starbucks, nothing but cakes, I don't know, whatever. Those things, I feel like sometimes you get in the way of, being able to move forward. The other stuff is there, like seriously. And even the business coach to be like, hey, you said this was your goal. This is A to B. This is what we want to do. Have you done it? And then sometimes it's like, I don't know, all the things. Well, you got to do
Yeah.
it. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
just confidence. And so, like, really, I think like getting over the confidence in themselves, like to see it forward, I think is kind of the biggest thing.
Have you seen anybody that has come through that you've been able to place that you've been really proud of their growth and what they've been able to build? Anybody that comes to mind that maybe
Yeah.
had some odds stacked against them, but they've came through?
I just love, I actually had a call yesterday where I follow up. I will say that honestly, the majority of my people are from this year. It's so like, I'm like in it with them, right? Some of these people
Nice.
have me.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I do have some though from the end of last year, and I was checking in on them, and it's just so I think it's the most fun thing when they're like, I booked 3 inspections. I'm so pumped. Like, right, they're so excited. This is what they've been working towards, and it's a lot. Listen, I can't imagine doing this with like out the team that these people have to like help get them to getting to open their doors. It kind of feels like you're drinking from a fire hydrant,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
a I feel like even in any job, you start a new job and you've never done it before, the onboarding, you're like, what is happening? Like, this is so much. And that's corporate America too. Your own, now there's this added intensity to it as well. So to see like you get past that, right? The front end, the grind, all the paperwork, trying to do all the things so you could just simply open your doors. But then we get notified where people are opening and they have 3 booked inspections already, and it's like this celebration, like we're all very excited for them. So I do have some though that closed earlier this year and they're in training right now, but I can't wait. I would love to like ask me this again next time we see each other in person and be like, hey, how are those people doing? Because I just have no doubt these people are going to crush. They're the people I'm talking about, where so forward thinking, so innovative, like they want this. And so I have no doubt that they'll be able to succeed.
I love that. Yeah, and I will. I'm excited. And I'll probably see you at the next neighborly convention. Got to make sure
Yeah.
I lock that in. Um,
Yes.
okay. So earlier you talked a little bit about your why, and I like to ask people, well, I'll preface it like this. I believe there's a difference between passion and purpose. Passion is what that fires us up from the inside. Purpose is what comes out of us. But in order to find our purpose, we often have to go through pain in order to be able to process that pain and lead us to our purpose. And I know you talked about your family, and I could tell that you're so passionate about what it is that you're doing. What pain points have you had that have kind of helped develop you to develop into the person that you are today, um, in helping people? I mean, what you do is amazing, and not everybody does it with the right level of intentionality. But I wouldn't have you on here if I didn't think you embodied that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Man, that's such a great question. I'm like, y'all have time? I feel like I'm such an open book. I'm like, let's unload all the things. And so, but honestly, like, I think upbringing comes into it, right? The experiences that you have that kind of lead you to some of the decisions that you make when you become an adult. And so I even think like, I knew my whole life that I wanted to be a mom and a wife. I mean, like literally, if you could have gotten a degree in like that, I was like kind of, but I've been like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds
yeah,
good. That was like really like my whole life. I just knew. And so it's an interesting thing to get to a certain spot and be like, oh, like I have struggled like getting pregnant. And so something I didn't know if I'd ever get to experience, the one thing I always wanted to do. And so,
wow,
there was a lot of growth that took place in between those were some painful years. But again, I've really something about me, I just literally cannot hide it. My faith in Jesus is kind of what drives every car that I get in. Like he's like in the front seat. I want to look through that lens, and so and it doesn't take away from the pain moments that I have. I'm obviously human, and so but for me, I did get to a place where it was just like, okay, like you're everything that I need, and anything else is just a gift. And so thank you, Lord, for those things. And so if you see me as a mom one day, then that'll just be a sweet gift. And so got to a point though, obviously, where my husband and I like considered the adoption process, and then we kind of started that, and that was just like the most sanctifying thing I think I've ever done. And so it was a really, really encouraging, also heartbreaking, all in one. I do not take away that it is in the Lord's sovereignty that I get to be Judah's mom. And so, really impacted by that. It was a really amazing time of my life, but also a very hard time. And so, but anyways, on the other side of that, I'm getting to kind of live into those things I've always wanted to do. And they are the things that drive me also, faith, and then just the encouragement I get from my husband, and then obviously getting to be Judah's mom. It's like kind of like a superpower a little bit, like makes me feel like, okay, well, I can't be slowed down because of those things. And so, yeah.
Let's go. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And thank you for sharing that. I like to I don't know, I like to ask those questions. I like to humanize the folks on this show. I think we often get the portrayal of individuals and our success and everything that we're doing and everything that we're building, and we don't always get to, experience other people's pain, but that's how we learn to understand each other as individuals and build a community around that.
Yeah.
No, I really like that. I really like that. So as we wrap up, we're getting close to time. I want to respect it and
Okay.
get you back to helping folks.
Yeah.
But what's next? I mean, I foresee, you might hold this down for a while. Is there anything big that's popping that you'd like to build in yourself? Anything that you want to see moving forward in the next year or 5 in your
Yeah.
life and in your role with Neighborly?
Yeah. I'm like, I have so many goals. I have a certain amount of, people that I want to help this year, right?
Okay.
Being in sales and, or just having goals in general. I know a lot of people that are listening are probably can relate to those things. And so I have those, but I love equipping and being innovative and taking something. And maybe I get that a little bit from like what I did prior. It was like, those things didn't exist. It was like, figure it out. Right. And so I would love, and obviously like my boss and their boss, they've heard these things from me as well, but I would love to have an opportunity at some point to where I get to be like a team lead or of some sort of just where I get to kind of equip a team of people to do the work and take some of the things that I've learned and do it together as a team. And I think, I guess I feel passionate about that. Like I love being on the team. I love equipping. And so I feel like if I could be in 5 years, if that was something I was getting to do, that would be amazing. And I would feel very grateful for that opportunity.
Hey, speak it, claim it, manifest it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go. That's awesome. Okay, so here's my last official question, unless I decide that something just pops out. I mean, this whole thing, I do this thing off the cuff. We're running and gunning right now.
Love
But
it.
I like to ask this at the end.
Okay.
A lot of people, when they're looking at a big goal, they're looking at the next stage. There's a lot of fear points that keep them from moving forward. But in order to achieve anything, we got to take the first step. We got to get off of zero. So if you can think about your personal experience, how do you coach somebody up to take that first step off of zero to go achieve their dreams and be the person that their dreams need them to be?
Oh my gosh. I want to nerd out so bad right now. Are you a Star Wars fan by chance?
Yeah, I dabble with some Star Wars.
Okay. Okay, so like literally right now, like while you're talking, all I can think about is Yoda. And so there's a scene in Star Wars where he says, do or do not. I don't know if, I mean, there's got to be other
There's
Star Wars.
no try. There's no try. Just do.
He was literally telling me that the first step to achieving something is actually doing something.
Mm.
And so often we will hear, okay, well, I'll say like, what has you drawn towards entrepreneurship versus W2, like what you've been doing? And it's like, I've always wanted this. There's reasons why they choose not to, though. And so often those are just fear-based things. It's not comfortable. They've never done it before. Working for the man feels comfortable, right? And so he was just telling Luke, literally, you must do what's needed to do instead of just simply like trying. Like, you've got to go and do it. And so you'll never know if you don't try. And so nothing better than to be equipped by again, people who've been in the industry for 40 plus years that have systems, processes, and resources ready to go to put your trust in those things. And yeah, you've got to just do it. Can't keep talking about it. So
Love it. Love it. Love
yeah.
it. Well,
Looking out of a Star Wars mug right
let's go. Let's go. Well, I don't think I have any Star Wars back there, but I nerd out a little bit myself with all my little
yeah.
anime, superhero, all the things. So I'll rock with you on that.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, I'll rock with you on that.
Talk about Star Wars, so people could, again, who is this girl? Like, get out of here. No.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I've watched just about every animated Star Wars thing there is on all streaming platforms. So you're talking to the right guy.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Well, is there anything else you want to hit us with? I mean, you did a great job. This was amazing. Did I miss anything? Something that, somebody that was actually good at this interview thing might have hit you with?
Just surround yourself by people that are going to support you and see you through, encourage you, and just go and do it. And I also want to say thank you for having me on here. This has been a lot of fun. I love one-on-one conversation like this. Terrible, awful public speaker, but if given the opportunity, I am. And you'll probably experience that at some point, Matthew. They'll have me go up and speak to
I can't wait.
And I'll look at you and be like, this is the moment that we were talking
about. I can't wait.
Like, just the plane's going to crash. But one-on-one, I love. So thank you for the opportunity for me to kind of come on here and share a little bit. And it was fun.
Sure. Well, you did a great job. You've got a beautiful heart. And I know that the listener got value from this conversation. So thank you so much. Any franchise candidate would be in good hands in working with you. I guarantee it. Well, until next time, you guys can find Jordan on LinkedIn. And if you're interested in any of the platforms, reach out. I'll connect you guys. But until next time, stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Peace. All right, everybody. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Hey, if this episode added any value to your life at all, please like it, share it, give me a 5-star review. It's the only way that this show is going to gain traction and help more people achieve their dreams. If you're ready to start your franchise journey, visit streetwisefranchising.com. Let's set up a time to talk. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Until next time, stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Peace.